There is nothing lonelier than sleeping next to someone and still feeling like a stranger in your own bed. We don't talk about it enough, but we know it when it happens. That moment when something sacred starts to rot. When silence grows louder than laughter, when apologies become routine and effort becomes extinct. A compromised relationship is not always about cheating or betrayal. Sometimes it's about slow neglect. It's about one person fighting alone for something two people were supposed to protect together. Let's call it what it is, a prison made of promises that no longer hold weight. We wear smiles in public but cry in private. We defend them to others but abandon ourselves in the process. We accept breadcrumbs, call it love, and shrink ourselves to keep someone else comfortable. That's not love. That's a hostage situation with roses on the table. And the worst part, we convince ourselves that staying is strength, that silence is maturity, that patience is noble. No, staying silent when your soul is screaming is not strength. It's self-abandonment. And every time you bite your tongue, you bleed pieces of your worth into the hands of someone who doesn't even see it. You are not difficult for needing more. You are not asking for too much. You are asking the wrong person. The moment a relationship begins to cost you your peace, your purpose, your self-respect, it's no longer love. It's a deal with your own destruction. And yes, you can leave. You can walk out of what's burning and not look back. You can choose yourself without needing to villainize them. You can say, "This doesn't serve me anymore," and let that be enough. Because here's the truth. You cannot build a healthy relationship while betraying yourself. You cannot keep shrinking and expect your spirit to grow. You were not born to be half, loved half, heard half, held. You are not a backup plan. You are not someone's emotional punching bag. You are not here to dim your light so they can stay comfortable in their shadow. When you heal from a compromised relationship, you don't just recover from a breakup. You resurrect. You remember your value, reclaim your power, and return home to yourself. And that, right there, is the kind of love that doesn't leave. Let's stop sugarcoating it. What really destroys us in a compromised relationship isn't always what they did to us. It's what we kept doing to ourselves to keep it going. It's the way we swallowed our truth. The way we silenced our intuition. The way we stayed when our spirit was begging us to go. You don't wake up one day shattered. You crack in little places over time. One ignored red flag. One excuse too many. One boundary crossed. And suddenly, you've abandoned your own soul in the name of love. But here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. You cannot be loyal to someone else while betraying yourself. That's not love. That's sacrifice without purpose. That's martyrdom dressed up as devotion, and it will kill you slowly. Because when you betray yourself, it doesn't just hurt. You lose yourself. You start questioning your worth. You second-guess your emotions. You convince yourself that your needs are a burden. You apologize for feeling. You minimize your joy so they feel secure. You call dysfunction normal and heartbreak growth. But none of that is growth. That's just trauma wearing lipstick. We're taught to fight for love, right? Don't give up. Stay loyal. Stick it out. But what if the real fight was supposed to be for you? What if the greatest act of loyalty was not staying, but choosing yourself before you're hollowed out by someone else's inability to meet you where you are? Let me tell you something, raw and real. Betrayal feels noble at first. It feels like love, like compromise, like maturity, but it's a slow death in disguise. You start saying yes when you mean no. You pretend to be fine just to avoid another argument. You carry their weight, their wounds, their chaos, until one day you look in the mirror and can't recognize who's looking back. And by then, it's not just the relationship that's compromised, it's your identity, your confidence, your fire. But there's good news, you can stop it today. You can call yourself out. You can stop bleeding for people who wouldn't even hand you a bandage. You can say, "I love you, but I love me more." You can honor your truth instead of burying it for someone who doesn't even see it. Because real love, healthy love, shouldn't require you to shrink. It doesn't silence you. It doesn't make you question your sanity. It doesn't demand your sacrifice to the point where you forget your own name. So here's the new rule. Never betray yourself to keep someone else, not your voice, not your vision, not your value. You are not built to be someone's emotional dumping ground. You are not meant to beg for the bare minimum. You are not created to be loved halfway, and if you've done it before, it's okay. Don't carry shame, carry wisdom. Let it teach you how to come back home to yourself. Let it remind you that every time you choose you, the universe rises to meet you with something better. So don't wait to lose yourself completely. Stop betraying the one person you're guaranteed to spend the rest of your life with, you. You are your own greatest love story. Start acting like it. We were taught wrong. We were taught to bite our tongues, to keep the peace, to avoid conflict at all costs, that if we stayed quiet, we were strong. That silence was a sign of maturity, that being the bigger person meant swallowing pain in private and smiling in public. But let me tell you the truth no one teaches. Silence is not strength when your soul is screaming. Real strength isn't about how well you can hold it in. It's about how courageously you let it out. It's about looking yourself in the eye and saying, I refuse to disappear just to keep someone else comfortable. In compromised relationships, silence becomes the mask we wear to hide the storm inside. We don't speak up because we fear rejection. We fear being labeled too emotional, too needy, or too much. So we stay quiet. We let things slide. We give the benefit of the doubt, again and again. We tell ourselves, it's not worth the argument. But what about your peace, your boundaries, your truth? Every time you hold your tongue when something violates your soul, you teach your nervous system that your voice doesn't matter. You convince your heart that its needs are negotiable. You condition yourself to tolerate the intolerable. And slowly you fade. Quietly you break. We confuse passivity with peace, but there's a massive difference. Peace is when you feel safe, seen, respected. Passivity is when you go numb so you don't explode. And there is nothing peaceful about being unheard. True strength is not avoiding conflict. It's being willing to have uncomfortable conversations because yourself, worth demands it. It's saying, I'm not okay with this, even when your voice shakes. It's choosing expression over suppression because you know that what you feel is valid, even if they don't understand it. Listen, you can't build an authentic relationship on silence. You can't build connection if you're hiding in fear. You can't claim your power while tiptoeing around someone else's inability to meet you in your truth. And no, speaking up doesn't mean yelling or blaming or demanding. It means honoring your voice, saying, this matters to me. It means drawing lines. It means choosing clarity over comfort. It means choosing you. You do not have to suffer in silence to prove you're strong. You do not have to smile through pain to look put together. You do not have to make yourself smaller so someone else doesn't feel challenged. You have the right to be heard, to be felt, to take up emotional space, to ask for what you need without guilt. That is not being too much. That is being real. Silence in a compromised relationship is not strength. It's survival. But you didn't come here to survive. You came here to thrive, and thriving requires truth. It requires voice. It requires you to show up, even if your voice is trembling and your knees are weak. So the next time you think being quiet is the mature thing to do, ask yourself, am I keeping peace, or am I just keeping quiet to keep someone else comfortable while I burn inside? Because the moment you choose your voice, the moment you stop pretending, the moment you speak up, you stop betraying yourself, and that's where real strength begins. You were not born to be silent. You were born to be heard. Let's get this straight right now. You are not asking for too much. You are asking the wrong person. Somewhere along the way, you were conditioned to believe that your needs were excessive, that your standards were too high, that your desire to be seen, heard, valued, protected, nurtured was a burden. So what did you do? You made yourself smaller, softer, quieter. You dimmed your light. You made excuses for them and swallowed your own. You started shrinking your needs to fit into someone else's emotional poverty. But that's not love. That's emotional starvation. Let's stop calling our standards too much just because someone else was unwilling or unable to meet them. There is nothing wrong with wanting consistent communication. There is nothing outrageous about needing effort. There is nothing shameful about craving safety, loyalty, and mutual respect. You're not high maintenance. You're high value, and that's a difference they never understood. The problem is, when we settle for people who are emotionally unavailable, immature, or half-hearted, they convince us that we're the problem, that we're too emotional, that we take things too seriously, that we expect fairy tales. But here's the raw truth. When someone can't meet you where you are, they'll always try to drag you down to where they're stuck. And the more you accept less, the more you start believing that less is all you deserve. That's how the cycle continues. That's how powerful people forget their worth. So let's end that narrative today. You are allowed to want texts returned. You are allowed to ask for accountability. You are allowed to say, I don't feel emotionally safe here. You are allowed to want depth over surface, presence over promises, action over apologies. You are not too much. You're just finally honest. And don't you dare let someone who's emotionally stingy convince you to live on crumbs. That's not love. That's manipulation. That's convenience. That's someone trying to mold you into something easier to consume because they're too lazy to rise to your level. Stop begging for what should be given freely. Stop romanticizing struggle as proof of love. Love should not leave you in a constant state of questioning your worth. Love should not feel like a fight to be noticed. Love should not make you feel guilty for having needs. What you want isn't over the top. You're just dealing with people who operate below the baseline of emotional intelligence and maturity. Real love doesn't see your depth as a threat. It honors it. Real love doesn't flinch when you express yourself. It leans in closer. Real love doesn't make you question if you're wanted. It reassures you without being asked. So hear this loud and clear. You are not too much. You are not overbearing. You are not dramatic. You're just finally remembering what you deserve. And that scares people who benefit from your silence and your settling. Let it scare them, because the right one, the one aligned with your worth, they won't call your needs too much. They'll call them basic respect. And when that day comes, you'll be grateful you stopped settling. You'll be grateful you walked away. You'll be grateful you realized, I was never too much. I was just never met fully. Never again apologize for being whole in a world that only wants pieces of you. Let's call it what it really is. Sometimes their presence costs you more than their absence ever will. You're not crazy for wanting peace. You're not selfish for choosing it. You're not cold for walking away from someone who consistently made you question your worth. There comes a point in every compromised relationship where you realize their presence is no longer a blessing. It's a burden. Yes, it hurts to let someone go, but it hurts more to keep someone who drains your light, disturbs your peace, and calls it love. We stay too long. We hold on too tight. We convince ourselves that history matters more than harmony, that the years invested somehow justify the chaos we keep enduring. But time means nothing when it's filled with pain. Stop choosing company over clarity. Stop choosing a warm body over a calm soul. Because let me tell you, peace is the most expensive thing you'll ever lose in a relationship. You start to feel it when every conversation feels like a landmine, when every silence screams louder than words, when your home feels like a battlefield and your heart is the casualty, but still you stay. Why? Because you've mistaken their presence for proof that you're not alone. But presence without connection is just proximity. It's not partnership. You're not meant to live in a relationship where you feel lonelier together than you ever did alone. Let that sink in. You don't need someone who's just physically there. You need someone who shows up emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Someone who doesn't just share space, but shares effort, shares peace, shares responsibility. And if they can't do that, then what exactly are you clinging to? The ghost of who they used to be, the version of them that only shows up in your memories, not in your reality. That's not love. That's self-torture. And here's the wild part: we'll stay with someone just to avoid starting over, just to avoid sitting with the silence. But that silence, that solitude, that space where it's just you and your breath and your broken heart. That's where peace is rebuilt. That's where your soul exhales. That's where you stop surviving and start remembering who you are. You don't need to beg for peace and love. Peace should be the default, not the reward after chaos. Choosing peace over presence isn't weakness. It's not giving up. It's knowing that the cost of keeping someone isn't worth the price of losing yourself. And that takes guts. That takes a level of self-respect most people are too afraid to activate. But not you. You didn't come this far to be emotionally bankrupt with someone just because they have a seat at your table. It's okay to outgrow people. It's okay to evolve past what you once called home. It's okay to say, I still love you, but I love my peace more. That is not betrayal. That is self-preservation. So the next time you find yourself wondering, should I stay just because they're still here? Ask yourself this. Are they here to heal with me or to hurt me while holding my hand? Because at the end of the day, love without peace is just chaos in disguise. You don't need another body in your bed if it costs you the quiet in your head. Choose peace over noise, over drama, over half love, over their inconsistent presence. Your peace is not optional. It's sacred. Protect it. You've been searching, haven't you? Searching for that feeling, that safety, that softness, that place where you can finally exhale. The arms that feel like shelter, the words that feel like healing, the love that feels like home. But here's what no one told you. You are the home you've been searching for. All this time, you've been trying to find yourself inside someone else, hoping they would be the cure to your chaos, the answer to your ache. You kept thinking that if you just loved them enough, fought hard enough, proved yourself deeply enough, they would finally give you what you were craving. Validation, attention, worth, peace. But love that demands you lose yourself to be chosen isn't love. It's dependency, it's desperation, and the truth is, no one can give you what you refuse to give yourself. Read that again. You kept looking for someone to choose you, all while abandoning yourself in the process. You gave them everything, your voice, your softness, your silence, your sacrifices, just to feel like you mattered. And when they failed you, you blamed yourself. But sweetheart, it was never about your value. It was about their capacity. You're not hard to love. You're just too powerful to be kept small. You're just too real to be handled by someone who's still playing with pretend. You've been conditioned to believe that home is something outside of you, that it lives in someone else's smile, someone else's touch, someone else's approval. So when a relationship falls apart, you feel like you've lost your anchor, your identity, your safety. But here's the truth. You never lost your home. You just forgot it was inside you all along. You are your own safe place. You are your own rescue. You are your own healing. Every time you sit with your pain instead of running from it, you come home. Every time you speak your truth instead of silencing it, you come home. Every time you choose yourself, even when it terrifies you, you come home. Home isn't just where you're loved. Home is where you're honored. And the most sacred relationship you'll ever have is the one you build with yourself. So start treating you like the masterpiece you are. Decorate your spirit. Light candles in your own soul. Say things like, I trust you. I've got you. You don't need to earn love. You are love. The world will try to convince you to keep searching, to keep chasing, to keep pouring into people who leave you empty. But the truth is, when you stop running from yourself, you stop craving what's toxic. You stop begging for what's broken. You stop settling for what barely sees you, because you finally see yourself. You finally hear yourself. You finally remember, I don't need someone to save me. I need someone who doesn't make me forget that I already saved myself. And when that day comes, when you finally become your own sanctuary, you'll realize something powerful. You were never lost. You were never too much. You were never broken. You were just waiting to come home to you. So if you're in a place right now where you feel like you're searching, reaching, grasping for something to make you feel whole, stop, get still, get honest, and remember, the most sacred place you'll ever rest is within yourself. You are the home, you are the healer, you are the one. Start living like it. Let's stop pretending. Let's stop pretending that staying in what slowly kills your spirit is strength. Let's stop dressing survival up as love. Let's stop calling sacrifice holy when what's really happening is slow self-erasure, because a compromised relationship doesn't just break your heart, it chips away at your identity, piece by piece, lie by lie, silence by silence, until one day you don't even recognize who you are without their chaos. But here's what I need you to know. You are allowed to choose yourself, not because you've given up, but because you've woken up. Woken up to your worth. Woken up to the fact that love shouldn't hurt more than it heals. Woken up to the idea that you were not born to fix people who refuse to grow, carry people who refuse to walk, or beg people to see the brilliance that's always been burning in you. This isn't the end of your love story. This is the rebirth of it. This is you rewriting the rules. This is you putting down the weight of what was never yours to hold. This is you saying, I am no longer available for anything that costs me my peace, my voice, my fire, or my self-respect. You are not hard to love. You are just done accepting half, effort half, truths and half-hearted people. The version of you that tolerated less, settled for crumbs, stayed silent to keep peace, she's gone now. And what's rising in her place is someone who doesn't apologize for needing more, wanting better, or walking away. This is your liberation. This is your closure. This is your beginning. So, here's to the fierce ones, the ones who left when it wasn't easy, who healed in silence, who rebuilt from ruins, who found their power in the pain. And if that's you, stand up inside yourself, because from this moment forward, you don't just survive love, you define it, and you start with you.